All right, guys, so we're going to be talking about communication now, effective communication between fellow employees and also between yourself and a patient. And you know, one of the interesting facts is communication is 70% nonverbal and 30% verbal. So 30% of what you say actually matters, but 70% of your nonverbal, your gestures, how you're interacting, what your face is doing when you're talking, all that stuff communicates 70% of what you're saying. And to prove that's true, if I was sitting here screaming at you and my face was beet red and I was just incredibly angry, but I'm sitting here saying, you're an amazing employee, we're so happy to have you here, and I'm just screaming, you would more or less portray my negative attitude, my screaming, me up being upset, than you would the actual communication of, you're a wonderful employee. So that just goes to show, you've talked to people, you've had interactions with people where you could just tell they were stressed. They were somewhere else. Their mind wasn't where they were, where their feet were, so to speak, and you can just see that communication really does boil down to that 70%, just being nonverbal, those cues that you give somebody. People care about what they're thinking about. I mean, generally, we're all kind of selfish when it comes to getting what we want, And it's the same for communication. When you're communicating with somebody, they could be thinking about something you said before, not really listening. They could be, and we get that with patients a lot, especially, you're talking about a home exercise program and you start talking about one exercise or something, and then you go into the next one and they're still on that last one, So it's, communication can be a very hard thing to deal with, especially in when we're dealing with a lot of different types of people. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit of a story, and it has to do with a patient that called in, and we had a great conversation over the phone, and it led to her wanting to come in, meet me, see the clinic. So we did an exploration visit with her, and she came in, and I think my conversation with her on the phone, I probably only spoke maybe 5 minutes of the time, and we were probably on the phone for at least 20 minutes. And then when she came to visit, again, I didn't speak a whole lot, maybe 20 minutes of the hour that she was here visiting our gym. And at the end of it, I was very intrigued with her. She was a very interesting person, and she had a really amazing job before this particular patient had MS. She had a really amazing job before. She was a lawyer, and I was just very interested in her and her family and everything. So I was asking her a whole lot of questions, and I was genuinely intrigued by her. But at the end, she said, wow, this has been an amazing conversation. I can't remember the last time I had a conversation this great. And, here she, I talked, maybe a fifth of the time that I've ever met her. But she seemed to think that I was a great conversationalist. And it's really just because I was engaging with her. I was asking her questions. I was just genuinely wondering and caring about her and what her life is like, and here she thought I was just a wonderful conversationalist, and it just goes to show that effective communication just really boils down to your attitude more than what you're saying, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. And being that 70% of communication is nonverbal, we know we're going to have those bad days. And, just like an actor would have a bad day, if you're looking at somebody that's got to play an amazingly positive role on TV, and they're going to have a bad day, but what do they have to do? They come in, they put on a show, and they act to be the person that they need to be on TV, and that's what we do here. We have a bad day. You leave it at the door, you act, and you put on a happy face with your coworkers, with the people that you run into at work, with your patients, it's just when we're here, the type of communication that we have with one another, with our patients, is encouraging and beneficial. We're never negative. We're never downing somebody. We're never downing each other. If we're always looking out for the best interest of everybody else in the gym, everybody else in the workplace, then how can we go wrong? How can we have negative confrontation? Of course, there's always going to be those things that we disagree on. But I heard a quote once that said that we fight and we quarrel because we don't get what we want. And it's so true. The reasons that we disagree with one another is because we're not getting what we want. There's something that we're disagreeing with and we're not getting that. So then we fight, we quarrel, we bicker, we disagree, whatever it is, the ways to effectively talk about something also are not to gossip, not to talk to other people about it first. Respectfully, if you come to me about something that somebody else did, the first thing I will ask you to do is talk to them about it first. If you guys can't figure it out, then come to me. And the reason that is not because I don't want to deal with it, although sometimes it really is, but really it's because when we start to stomp out gossip, gossip is just like a seed. It's a seed of negativity that just continues to spread throughout an organization. And when we stomp it out straight away, when you have a problem and you go straight to the source with it, and you don't get angry, you communicate in a way that's just sincere. Hey, what you said that really hurt my feelings, and I don't know where that's coming from, but it really did. It just hurt my feelings. And then if you're coming at it from a point of caring for the other person, you're not angry at the other person for saying what they said. You're caring about them. You're saying, hey, whatever you said, that really impacted me. It really hurt my feelings. How can we go about resolving this? And if they have a bad attitude after that, and it still doesn't get resolved, then come to me and I will de-escalate the situation. But so much of communication is strictly just coming at it from a place of caring. You're coming at it from a place of genuinely caring about the other person. And that's why you're approaching it. That's why you're approaching them and talking to them about it, So I heard a quote once. It's people often say that motivation doesn't last, and neither does bathing, but that's why we recommend it daily. And it's so true. You can say something motivating to somebody, you can say something encouraging and uplifting, and maybe it'll last a little bit, but then it eventually just goes away. And that's why we got to constantly keep on building people up. We're constantly building up our other therapists, telling them about, hey, that thing that you did with that patient, putting that block underneath of their foot to walk. It really worked out well. They were walking awesome. It was really good. Hey, what you did last treatment, getting them on the ground, practicing getting back up from the ground, that was awesome. Just giving people those bits and nuggets of just motivating comments, building each other up. That's what this place is about. That's why it works so well, is because we build each other up. One of the things that you can challenge yourself to do, it's a really good way to start just really uplifting and motivating your patients and your fellow employees, is put 10 marbles or even paper clips into your left pocket. When you first wake up, you put 10 paper clips into your left pocket, and then throughout the day you challenge yourself to say something motivating or encouraging to somebody else. And when you do, you take a paper clip from the one pocket and you put it into the other pocket, and you challenge yourself to make 10 comments throughout the day where you're taking those paper clips from your left to your right pocket. And then at the end of the day, when you don't have any more paper clips left, then you've done your best to motivate the people around you and to be somebody that's uplifting and inspiring. We all have those people in our lives that they're just always happy. And it's just like, how can I learn from that person? How can I start to be as happy as that person? It's contagious. Happiness is contagious. Smiling is contagious. There's studies on it. There's studies that show that if you smile, it helps other people to smile. And if you have a positive attitude, it helps other people to have a positive attitude. There's another quote that I've heard from the southern pastor down in South Carolina. He said, the only person that can steal your joy is you. And how true is that? You know, all these external factors that are all around you all day long, the demotivating, the negativity, whatever it is, all those just negative things around you. And at the end of the day, you get to make a decision. You can either decide to be happy, because that's a decision. You know, happiness isn't something that happens to you, it's something that happens through you. And you either get to, at the end of the day, decide to be happy, or you get to decide to be negative, to let the stress of the day get to you, to let the crap that happens at work, to let the crap that happens at home just get to you and bring you down. And that's literally the difference between people that are happy and people that are sad all the time. It's that happiness is a choice. You get to choose to wake up every day, to realize that you're here for a reason, that you're living your purpose, that you get to work with people, that you get to make money being here. You know, we're one of the richest countries in America, and you get to work, you know? So be happy. Be somebody that is a motivator, that is looking to change this place, to constantly influence people to be just as happy as you are. Going back to the topic of gossip though, if you are gossiping, we will always talk to you about it. Gossip is not to be had here. It's not something that we want. Those types of negative communication efforts are not at all what we have, not at all what we want to experience here. You know, we want this to be a place of positivity and uplifting, encouraging talk, communication, And lastly, one of the biggest things that you can do to effectively communicate with a patient is genuinely care about them, genuinely try to understand them. So when we are talking to a patient, you start with trying to understand where they are, how they're interacting with themselves. If you sat here and said, "Hey, Mary, here's your exercise program. You're going to do 10 leg lifts a day. Then you're going to do 20 arm curls a day. Then you're going to do 10 sit-to-stands a day. And I'm going to check in with you next week." I would not be surprised that Mary came back the next visit and you asked her, "Hey, Mary, did you do your exercises?" And Mary said, "Yeah, maybe one day. And I stopped after that." And it's because you're not communicating value. And value is something that we perceive based on how well you can sell yourself. Selling is by far the most important thing that you could learn in your life as far as your work career. Selling it not only carries into your work career, but it carries into your home. Just being able to sell yourself for a job, sell your exercises to your patient, sell this particular lap around the gym, that one last lap to really get it in before the weekend. Like that, those types of things it's all selling. It's just being able to convince somebody that what you're asking them to do is worth it. And if Mary doesn't see the benefit in doing her little knee extensions and her little sit-to-stands and her little bicep curls, she ain't gonna do them. And that's the most important thing. So if Mary cares about something, it's not how strong her quads are. It's that she can't get up the stairs. That her weak quads are keeping her from being able to walk while holding her granddaughter. There is an external factor that is her quads are weak, and the internal factor being that she's internally struggling with something. She needs help to get up the stairs. Her husband's having to help her a whole lot now transferring. Whatever it is, there's an internal struggle there. And if you can connect the home exercise program with that internal struggle, you will have a lot better chance of compliance. There's another saying that what gets inspected gets respected. So, if we give Mary a home exercise program and 2 months later we come back to it and we say, "Hey, Mary, have you been doing these?" And she says, "No," guess what? You didn't inspect it. So she didn't respect it, So, but if every single visit you're coming back and you're saying, hey, Mary, you're doing your home exercise program, it's so incredibly important. I know that you want to be able to get up the stairs on your own without your husband going behind you and making sure you're not going to fall. You're calling him every single time you need to go up the stairs. I know you feel like you're a burden on him for doing that, but I really think if we strengthen your quads, then you're going to be able to do it on your own, and you're not going to need to call him every time. And in turn, it's going to make you stronger, which will help you to be able to get up the stairs independently. And do you see why that exercise program is so important, Mary? This is going to help you accomplish your goals. Then, and only then, will Mary start to do her exercises. But that communication, just like if I told you, this is what we expect of you, and then we just never talked about it again, guess what? You probably would forget this video pretty quickly. But the fact that every employee meeting, we're talking about these things, we're bringing them up every Thursday, Wednesday, whenever you guys are doing your employee meetings, we're bringing these things up, we're addressing them, we're constantly changing things, we're constantly looking at how we can do things better. That's what's going to start to that's how we as a company are going to communicate to you guys what's important to us, that we do care about our patients, that we do care about our employees, that we're constantly trying to change things to make our organization better for the two of them. So that's effective communication. So when we're talking about effective communication, make sure that you're addressing the other person's needs, that you're trying to communicate in a way that's beneficial to that person, that's uplifting to that person, and motivating to that person, that we're trying to constantly motivate each other on a daily basis. So I challenge you guys, try to think of reasons that you could just randomly be kind to one another and motivate one another to do something awesome today. All right, thank you.